Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Mitch. Mitch is from Portland in the USA. So let's see what Mitch has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Gosh darn it. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, perfect now.
I think we're
Yeah.
set. I'm going to leave it.
So how are you, Mitch?
I'm doing very well. Yeah. I'm here in Atlanta with my little doggo.
Oh,
Yeah. And do you go by William?
yes.
Okay.
People call me William, call me Will.
Great.
So you said you are based in Atlanta right now.
Well, technically I'm based nowhere. I am currently on a national road trip seeing all 50 states. So I'm not in one place for more than about a week at a time right now. Yeah.
Wow. Actually, I made a note of that event in your life that you are doing right now. So tell me the idea. Tell me the idea of this. How long have you been you started your journey?
Yeah, so the purpose of the road trip is to move from Portland, Oregon to New York City at the end. I've lived in Portland my entire life, and so this is my first time moving away from home. The idea for the trip came from two sources. The first was I have a dear friend of mine who walked the whole Pacific Crest Trail, which is a backpacking trail that goes from the border of Mexico to the border of Canada on the West Coast, which is daunting as all hell. It took him 5 months, and I was just so blown away by that. I was so impressed and so proud of him. And when I was thinking of doing this trip to New York, I was definitely going to move my stuff by car because it's way too expensive to have it lifted or anything. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll see some cities I've never seen before along the way. And then someone on kind of a joking dare said, why don't you see all 50 states? And I was like, oh, crap, that's the move. That's the thing that I could look at myself and think, wow, that was so daunting and impressive, and I'm so proud of myself. So my friend inspired me, and then another friend kind of dared me. So here we are.
Amazing. So how long have been you started the journey so far?
I left Portland October 1st of 2022, and it's almost 5 months in then, and I'm maybe 65% of the way geographically. I've done the whole western half of the United States. You split it down the middle, and then I've done the south from Texas to Florida. So, wow. And now Georgia. I think I'm exactly halfway through states as well. I think this is number 25.
I'm so glad we are connecting during this period of your life. This time you are doing this amazing journey. I think it's, we always should challenge ourselves somehow. It doesn't matter what you are planning to do or what you think is great, but, do something that you're going to remember, that's going to leave impacts in your life. Not just that, but people as well. That's for some reason, you're going to share, for example, now you're sharing something so amazing. I'm sure people watch this interview, they're going to go like, oh my God, that's something impressive and brave as well to do something like that. Amazing. Great. So, Mitch, during the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about your adventure. And what do you do for a living, for work?
I am a full-time sex worker. So it's between OnlyFans, studio porn, and escorting. I used to be a registered nurse, but the sex work industry has been full-time for about 6 years now.
Amazing. So tell me, what do you like the most about your career?
Autonomy is number one, which I'm sure a lot of people in self-employment can relate to. But being able to work when I want to work, as little or as much as I want to work, with who I want to work with, how I want to work. I can travel and work, which is why I can do this. So it's definitely the freedom that it allows me, although there are tons of other reasons why I love it.
I see. All right. Mitch, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Yeah. I did want to note one thing that bounces off what you had said about making choices that are going big and living life to your fullest. I I did something when I was 22 that really launched my life off from like living really small to doing big things. And I realized what I had done is I had noticed what was equally terrifying and inspiring and did it. And from that point on, I had a rule that if something seems equally inspiring and terrifying, that's my next move. I don't have a choice. That's what's it. Because if something stops inspiring me, I'm over it. And if something stops scaring me, I've grown past it. So whenever anything stops lining up, it's time to figure out what lines up next. And this trip was definitely, wow, that sounds inspiring and absolutely terrifying.
That's how life is about. Life is about that.
Yeah, that rule has served me very well. All of your listeners, go live by that rule and you will live a very, very fun life.
Amazing. Okay, welcome to William and the Magic Box. It's my best friend. Okay. Run of fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question. Okay, let's do it. Okay, Mitch. Before we start the game, during the journey, if there is a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, don't want to answer, always can change. Okay.
Okay.
First question for you is what does success mean to you?
Success means waking up every day and being happy to wake up every day.
And for you, what's the meaning of happiness for you?
That's a really great question. I think happiness comes with a few different qualities. I think there's a sense of ease, a lack of fear and a lack of anxiety about what your day will bring or about what you're doing on a daily basis. It can easily be measured by smiles and laughter. It's definitely a part of it. Mm-hmm. I think it's marked by a lot of gratitude, both along the way and at the end of the day, and I suppose when you wake up. And I think there's a sense of pride too. Pride in what you're doing and what you've done at the end of the day for the world and for yourself.
Do you believe that happiness is a choice?
I think it's a series of many, many, many choices, one at a time. I think that there are certain powers outside of our choice that can make it hard or if not near impossible to be happy. But after a certain point of need fulfillment, when you have what you need, when you're sustained, when you don't have to worry about getting your basic needs met, at that point, I think if you're not happy, you're choosing not to move from that place. Because if you have the resources to make choices that are yours and you're not making the choices that are making you happy, that's the point at which I say, that's your choice.
Okay. Next question. Let's do it. Next question for you is, what has been the lowest point of your life?
That's a great question. And it's a question that is pretty heavy, but that I'm not afraid of whatsoever. My childhood was really, really rough. It was dark to the point where I don't really remember not being massively depressed. There are little bits and pieces, but it went downhill and downhill and downhill until I had a suicide attempt when I was 17. And I really meant it. Like, it was a full force try. And I really just got lucky. I woke up from an overdose attempt and just went back to school the next day like nothing happened. So it's pretty hard to get lower than that, but I will add to that it went uphill pretty quickly. Around 19, it just started to take off. So I did not stay there.
Great. I'm gonna ask you a tough question now. You don't need to answer if you don't want to, but if you have the superpower of, let's say, erasing that period of your life, knowing the person you are today, would you take it out or would you keep it?
Not for a second. I would absolutely keep it. Um, and there are so many reasons why, but I think the biggest reason is that I had to work really hard to get out of that place. Um, and successfully doing so taught me really early on that you can change, that growth is possible, that growth is totally worth it. And it kind of taught me the skill of growing. So I don't think I would be anywhere near as high in the sky as I am now had I not kind of paid the price of admission up front. So I'm glad I got all that over with at the beginning and better for it now.
Absolutely. And I think, just the fact that you talk so open about it, I think that's the beautiful thing because, all of us, we face challenges in life and some people even deeper, like deeper down. But when you talk about openly, at the same time as well, you are kind of, releasing sometime and at the same time as well, helping other people as well. Maybe they are facing the same thing, or maybe they kind of, cross their mind for some reason and see someone now in a much better place right now. Talking about it, it can help a lot of people. So thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Of course. If there's anyone out there, even if you're at rock bottom, it is very possible to climb back up.
And as they say, even in the darkest place, there's always a light. Even the darkest place, there's always a light there as well.
Yeah. When I first started that healing journey, I remember they had us doing affirmations in therapy, like you're kind, you're smart, you're funny, whatever it might be. And I couldn't believe myself when I said anything, and I would just beat myself up more. So I had to keep going lower and lower. And I'm like, what's a rung on the ladder of hope and confidence that I can grab onto? And the lowest that I could find, and I really hope that people can find this, was I cannot be completely devoid of worth, because there are people in my life who see worth in me, and I don't think that they're lying. So there must be something in me that I don't see. And I was like, wow, that is really tough to face, but that was a rung that I could grab onto on the ladder. Like there's always something, even if it's this tiny, tiny, tiny little spark.
Okay. Next question. Let's do it, Mitch. So sweet. Right, before the next question, tell me so far in this beautiful journey since we started last year, October last year, tell me the highlights of this journey so far. Tell me something that you go like, you know what, that is the let's say, the highest moment of my trip so far. At the same time as well, tell me something challenge that happened to you that you're not expecting, something that you're like, you know what, that's something that I wasn't expecting at all.
Mm-hmm. So the highlight, if I had to pick one highlight in the whole trip so far, I made it to Kauai from San Francisco. That was me checking off Hawaii. And I chose Kauai because it was largely nature oriented instead of resort oriented. And I think I hiked a little over 40 miles in like 5-6 days. Wow. But the last hike that I did was the only hike I've ever done that required a guide. It was so intense and it wasn't even on the maps. So I hired a guide, and it was like going through an adult real life jungle gym. It was swinging around trees and under branches, practically mud crawling and climbing up like rope climbs. My guide was awesome. I was on fire. The little kid in me was just having a blast. And then at the end, the payoff was this place called the Weeping Wall. And it's a giant canyon wall that for about a football field sized area, it looks like a waterfall, but what's really happening is It's water that's been filtered after raining at the top of the canyon for close to 30 years, if I remember correctly. It's filtered through the mountain itself and been pushed out by pressure through the porous volcanic rock. So this water that was coming out was literally weeping from 30 years of being in the island and falling down on us. So it was an incredible day. I was on fire from start to finish. That was definitely the top highlight. I couldn't stop smiling for 12 hours straight. The challenge has been my car. It's at 116,000 miles right now, and I knew there were going to be challenges with it, but not as many as I've had. Starting in Dallas, and just from Dallas to this point, I've had just shy of $7,000 worth of repairs required. And it's been in such a way that every time there's been a chance that it's the end, that like, okay, from here on out, we're good. Nothing else is going to happen. So do I gamble and fix this, spend that money, and increase the pool that I'm now paying into? Or do I just sell this thing and get a new used car? Because I could have gotten a new used car by now. But the process of selling would mean having to sell this, buy a new one, get registered, get plates, all while trying to move. So that just sounds like a mountain of work that I don't really want to deal with. I don't do. But keeping up with that financially has been really difficult. I can do it, but I've had to work really, really hard just to stay at baseline. Yeah, that's been.
And the plans of your trip, like you stay as you said 1 week and a half in each place or not? To kind of, it depends how it goes.
Are you asking how long I stay in each place? Like what?
Yes. Do you have like a plan to stay a certain time, like the same? So it depends how the journey is, how it work, how you planned that.
Yeah. So the baseline rhythm that I'm in when nothing is going wrong is about a week in a city, and that way I can work there, I can film with other creators, and then on my way to the next big city, I'll look up national parks to hit, or I'll do a hike or backpacking trip. I'll pick sites to see. I try and pick one interesting, unique thing to do in every state that you can't find anywhere else. Amazing. So there's around 5 days to a week between cities that I'm just flying. It's a blast. And if anything, that's been by far the most fun parts of the trip, because when I hit a big city, I've really not seen anything outside of my hotels and work and filming. So the rhythm has been smooth up until Dallas, where I needed a lot of repairs. And since then, I've had to stay in places longer than expected to keep waiting for those repairs to be done. So I've had to miss out on a lot of my me time lately. But after Atlanta, I finally have the first time in a long time to just go at my own pace, get away from work, take a deep breath. I've got a camper on top of my car that just it's like 5 minutes and it folds out, and it's a 3-person tent. So Cujo and I are just mounted up on that a lot of nights and looking up at the stars until we decide to go to bed. It's great.
Beautiful. Next question is, who is your biggest idol and what have you learned with this person so far?
Wow. That's a great question. And the first thing that comes to my mind is my friend. His name is Jonah Wheeler in the adult industry. I've known him for close to 5 years now, and I knew him before he got started in the film industry. And I feel really proud and thankful to have been a little bit of his push into it. Because early on in our friendship, he was asking me questions about how I did it, what the career was like. And then to see him jump, do it, and then surpass me has been I've just been so freaking proud of him. And so I idolize him in terms of pride and in terms of what he's done for himself out of purely hard work. And I've learned a lot from him about how to do this well and how to get where he's gotten. I haven't had the time to implement all of the things that I've learned from him, but I've definitely learned it just from watching him, and it's an honor to be as close of a friend, to have him at least as close of a friend as he is to me.
Oh, I can see him smiling right now watching this interview.
Yeah. We actually had the chance to do a full scene together for a porn studio a couple months ago, and we had never fooled around together. We knew each other for 4 years at that point. So I'm excited for that film to come out because I've never seen anything like it. It was like two people who genuinely love each other to the core, like ride or die friends, get to play together for the first time and trust each other and communicate well, and like laughing our butts off during the scene, having fun, uncontrollably smiling, and legitimately saying I love you so much, like several times throughout the scene. So that'll be an incredibly unique gift to the world, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's received.
Amazing. Cool. Next question. Let's do it. How old is your dog?
He's 13.
Oh, he must be enjoying the journey with you, no?
He's an old man puppy. I got him 4 years ago, so I got him as a rescue.
Oh.
He's my best friend. His name's Cujo.
Oh, Cujo. Right, next question for you is, okay, tough question now. Let's say someone come up to you and say, Mitch, you need to remove forever for your phone, yeah? Social media altogether, yeah? Or YouTube? Which one would you keep and why?
Oh, that is a tough question. I feel like I have to go right now with keeping social media because Twitter is the primary mode of advertising for creators. I wouldn't have a Twitter if it weren't for it being my job, but it's my income, unfortunately. But if that weren't the case, or if that there is a day where that doesn't need to be the case, I've learned so much from YouTube. I know there's the saying YouTube University nowadays, because you can teach yourself anything on YouTube. So it's like an infinite college at your fingertips. Would rather keep that, but I'd have to keep social media.
I see. And you say that Twitter is the platform that you are more connected with the creators and to build your business.
Yeah, it's one of the only two platforms that still allows X-rated content on it. So between that and Reddit, Instagram has far more strict rules and guidelines about what you can and can't post on there. So Twitter kind of became the default at a certain point, and it's also the primary way of finding other creators and networking with them. So I can make a post that says, hey, I'm coming to Washington, D.C. If you know a creator, tag them, or if you want to work with me, message me. And I do my own research, find who's going to be in the cities that I'm going to. So it's both a networking tool and an advertising tool, because as far as our target audiences, it's really one of the two places that they can see our product, our full films.
See. Okay. Next question. Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me what's the most challenging parts of creating good content and being a sex worker?
There's a hardest part of being an escort, and there's a hardest part of being a creator. The hardest part of being an escort is when I get people who as kindly as I can say it, are physically as dissonant as they can be. I do my best to bring my whole self and authenticity to people, even when they are most outside of traditional attractiveness norms in America. And I feel like I succeed every time, but it can be psychologically difficult in certain situations. It's not common where it's genuinely difficult, but sometimes it is just part of the game. The hardest part for me about creating is managing social media. It's editing the files, making promo content, doing it on a regular schedule, trying to figure out what my brand is. There's a lot of competition out there, so in social media, it's really hard not to compare yourself to people who are doing better than you. There's always someone bigger than you and someone smaller, but for some reason, we all want to compare ourselves to the people we're not as good as. That's been
why
a
is
lot.
why is that, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's rare that I find people who don't struggle with that in some way, shape, or form. I heard it said a long time ago that it's like you go into a job review with your manager and they give you 9 things that are fantastic, you've done perfectly, and they give you one thing that's like room for growth. Like, but this is the thing. And then they go back to praising you, and you go home and all you can focus on is the one thing that they asked you to grow on. So I have no idea. Maybe that's my next self-growth research project.
I see. All right. Next question is, if you could have a superpower, what that would be and why?
Dang it, that's the one I was gonna ask you. Okay, I already have an answer, and it would be the ability to create holograms. They wouldn't need to be solid, but I am constantly trying to explain concepts in terms of metaphors and images and processes, and being able to create images in live time. I could let people see what's happening in my mind, whether it's by a graph or a color or a scene. I feel like that would be most aligned with my personality too. So yes, I have thought about that question quite a lot. I'm a huge comic book fan, so that was picked a long time ago.
3 questions left for you. Let's do it. Next question is, what was your best friend's name growing up, and why did you consider this person as your best friend at the time?
I have a best friend named Lauren. Our families were connected, so our parents knew each other. And when we would have like cul-de-sac holiday things, she and her family would come over. So from a really young age, we got to see each other every once in a while. But as soon as one of us had our license, it was like game over, because I could go over to her house. And I think the number one reason is because she's so funny. She's like infinitely funny without trying. And I mean, I say that to potential partners now too. I'm like, the number one thing you can bring to my life, and that I hope to bring to your life, is laughter. Like, if you're laughing through every day, you're doing it. You're doing that happy life I mentioned earlier. I think laughter is the number one indicator of joy. So the fact that even when I was going through all that difficult stuff, she A, accepted me for who I was and what I was going through, and B, made me laugh harder than anybody else on the planet.
Oh, sweet. Very sweet. And still live in Portland, where you come from, or not?
Yeah, she lives in Portland still. She's considering moving to the coast right now, but yeah, we've been friends ever since then. So I just talked to her last night.
two questions left. Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me something. Tell me if you could choose anywhere in the world to, sorry, someone in the world to do a collaboration for your content, which person that would be?
His Twitter handle is ruggeryv. I've had a crush on him for so long, and I was just in Miami and he did not respond to me, which is totally fine.
Oh.
But if I could just wave a wand and do a scene with him, I would melt and I could die happy.
He's American.
So if you hear this out there and you find me funny, message me. I'm a lot of fun.
He's from Miami.
Yeah, I think that's what his profile says, at least.
And what's something about him that gets your attention?
My biggest turn on is body hair.
Okay.
And his is like perfect. So that's the number one thing among many other things. But yeah, body hair is reliably my number one magnifying factor.
All right, maybe he's watching the interview right now and maybe he go like, you know what? Let's do it.
Go check out my Twitter, see what I'm working with.
If he contacts you because of the show, he saw this show, The Magic Box, you need to send me like an extra part of the video so I can watch a little bit, okay?
Mm-hmm. I will, absolutely. You made it happen.
Next question is, if you could be any age, what age would you choose and why?
I think I would be 35.
Tell me why.
I've worked with a lot of older gentlemen in my job, and I've heard a lot about the lifespan. And I know I could feel it when I turned 30, that there's something magical around that age, where a lot of contemplation happens with the decade rolling around, and a lot of growth has happened if you're doing it right through your 20s, where, at least for me, I stopped stepping in the same potholes over and over and over again. I still do here and there, but they're not as deep of potholes. I started to learn enough from my mistakes that I stopped making them. So going into my 30s, I just felt like, wow, it's a whole new world. I know myself better. I'm playing the game better. There's fewer roadblocks, fewer stumbles. And then that caused a certain level of growth financially and socially that I can see continuing. And around my mid-30s, I think it'll reach a point where I am so happy with what I look around me and see, and I still am young enough to have the energy to keep up the life that I want. I've heard some clients say 40s is where your life begins, because then you really have stability, you have freedom and autonomy once you've gotten enough resources under your belt, and enough passive income for a lot of people. But I say 35. Yeah, I want a little more youth.
Ready for the last one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Last question. Before the last question, people watching the interview right now, they would like to do the same as you are doing right now, this beautiful journey, crossing 50 states, yeah? Tell me, what would be your best piece of advice for those people?
I would say you can't have the life of your dreams until you clarify what the life of your dreams is for yourself. And you can't make that dream happen until you start making choices towards it. And lastly, if you want to make it to that life of your dreams, it'll often take brave choices. So when you find those choices that are, this inspires me, but I'm afraid of it, you have to make those if you want to get there. You have to overcome the fear to to manifest one day at a time. Something like this, if you really want it.
And personally for you, what do you want to get out of this this journey? What is the in the end, when you think about, okay, I accomplished that, it's finished now, what do you want to keep or to get out of it?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is being able to look at myself in the same lens that I look at my friend who did the Pacific Crest Trail, because for the rest of his life, I am going to be impressed. I'm going to be in awe of who he is as a person. And I'm already confident that I'm sensing myself feel that about myself. And no matter what happens in New York, I'm going to have that. There have been so many other things that are already manifesting themselves, but that's probably number one. Yeah.
All right. Last question is, when have you been the most happy?
In my entire life?
Yeah.
There are so many moments that are so high on the list, but I think it would have to be the moment in which I finally got to lay in a bed with my first really big love. I had fallen really hard for him really fast. I was 19 and you fall hard then. And he had met someone else who was like, he met him a month or two behind me, who he was also really interested in. So he chose the other guy over me, but I was so into him that I was like, I can't let him go. So I befriended him and played all my cards as respectfully as I could. I didn't interfere. I didn't want to be the other guy. If anything, there were a few times in which I counseled him through his problems with this other guy. But like 6 months down the line, they split. And within like 2 weeks, he ended up in my bed. And after all that charge up and being that young and in love, I just remember I couldn't fall asleep. So I was up until like 4:30 a.m. just like, as creepy as it is, just like watching him breathe and feeling him up against me. And it was everything I had ever wanted in my life. So there are a lot of highs, but that's going to be pretty hard to beat. And I am also still in contact with him, and I will be staying with him soon in Chicago. So that love was really big.
I was about to ask you if you are still in touch with him. I'm so glad to hear that you are still, because it's something beautiful. Oh.
Yeah. He was huge.
Sweet. It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like. Don't forget to share this video. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Family.
Father.
Money.
I'm rich, I guess.
One word for love.
Acceptance.
Life.
Long.
Sex.
Heaven.
I like the expression, heaven, like. One word for politics.
Complex.
Religion.
Complex.
Fear.
Useless.
Friendship.
Invaluable.
Desire.
A compass.
Regrets.
A lesson.
Success.
A dream.
Wish.
Possible.
Happiness.
Essential.
One word for Portland.
Downhill.
Oh no!
There's a reason I left. I still love it, but there's a reason I'm leaving. Time has been it's been rough in Portland.
One word for USA.
Divided.
One word for adult creator. Adult content creator. Yeah, one word.
Underestimated.
Okay. And the last one now, if you could define in one word so far this beautiful journey since you've been, traveling so far, in one word, what that would be?
Impossible.
Interesting.
I feel as though it is impossible and has been impossible, and yet I'm doing it.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee, and I'm going to ask your best friend, what is the most beautiful thing about Mitch, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on? What your best friend would say?
That's great. I think she would say the nature of my support is incredible. We can talk about anything, and it's a two-way street. There are very few people in my life who I know I would trust to listen intently and fully and accept me afterwards, and find a balance between validating and guiding. And I feel confident that I do that in return. I think that's probably what she would say. Either that or I'm the funniest person on the planet. What was the other question?
Something that
Something I have to work on?
Yeah.
Follow through. Committing to something long term and sticking to it long term. Yeah. I got a lot of passion, and I chase a lot of passions in a lot of different ways. And I managed to find success, but I think if I want to build that dream that I have for myself, it's going to take a lot of steady commitment that it's difficult for me to manifest. Yeah.
See. Okay. Let's play now Mitch and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let's do it. So sweet. You can ask me a question now.
Okay. You asked me the one that I was going to ask, but in my world, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
So the second, I don't know what your answer would be to, if you could have any superpower, what would you have? But the second part is, if we lived in a world in which superpowers manifested based on who you are, as opposed to what you want, what power do you think would rise up within you and become your power just based on who you are?
I love the question. I love it. And actually the answer, it's based on both parts of the questions. And I'll tell you what. If I have the superpower of going around the world and just touching the heads of those closed mind people, just to open their minds somehow, you know what I mean? I think the world would be a better place. If I just could go there and just touch their heads, and just for them to understand that if they see something that for some reason they don't agree, they don't make some confusion in their minds, or maybe for them they feel like a bit like scared or something, it's okay if they would at least respect, go through. It's not okay, even if they don't understand, they don't want to go into it, but if they will just respect, just go like, okay, you know what, I don't understand, it's not for me, but let me go, let me just carry on with my life, and the world, I think, would be a better place. So, and I think that would come, if regarding superpower, I think this show, when I started doing this show, I didn't have like much expectation. For me, it was just like to have fun. For me, I remember when I started, it was just to answer questions, to have a laugh, to share experience, this and that. But I realized that through the show, people they are sharing so many stories, like you shared this challenge story when you were 17 years old, and somehow we are open people minds, we are open their minds somehow, not just with positive thing but with negative thing as well. I have so many people on the show talk so open about so many topics that even for me, I've been learning so much. I have no idea, and it's been open my mind as well. For example, I remember before I started doing the show, I I never heard before about polyamories, like people that have like two different partners. And I remember talking to some like lovely guests about it, and they were so open about explaining so with passion, with so open. And I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. I never thought this way. So if my mind is opening somehow, I think people watch the interview now, if at least they take something with them, could be something that they go like, you know what, I never heard this before. Or, and or even if they heard, but they never saw someone talking so open about it. If someone like could take something to their personal life, I think I've done my job so far. So I think it go back to the superpower. I think if I could go, everywhere and just try to explain those people, just so you know what, it's okay if you don't want to get into it, if you don't want to understand, or if you don't want to, it's too much for you. It's fine. All of us, we have those topics that for us, it makes a bit of confusion somehow. But let's respect, let's carry on with our lives, and I think the world will be a better place.
That sounds about right. I barely know you, but I feel like you nailed it.
So that's why I think it's something that it's so interesting to see. And sometimes when I see, on my life, or TV or social media, people express in a way that with anger or with hate or something like that, is necessary. Just it's something with you. If you have this feeling, it's something not with the other person, but with you. If you have this something not well explain in your mind, that makes some confusion, you get angry for some reason. The problem not that. The problem is with us. If you do this, if turns a little bit up our sense somehow. So yeah, that's my answer to you, Mitch.
You're doing something really special, which is exposing people to a real person. Mm-hmm. I was in a psychology class and we did a unit on prejudice, and the takeaway that I remember was the quickest and most reliable, like very reliable way to break someone's prejudice about an entire group is for them to make one real friend from that group. Because you see their humanity, you see that they're good people just like you. They just think or live differently. But all of us at the core are our own protagonist, and all of us are living in a way in which we believe we're doing right by the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mitch, thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much. And I'm going to repeat again, I'm so glad that we connected during this period of your life. I think it's a special time of your life. You are literally leaving your signature every place where you go, because I'm sure in the end, you're going to look back, you're going to go like, you know what? I made it. And you create something that's not just for you, but for people. Imagine you sharing this. I'm sure you need to write a book. You need to make, I hope you are taking pictures. I hope you are making videos. I hope you are, I don't know, you need to do something about it in the end, because that's something that, people, they're going to read it, they're going to watch it, they're going to, see somehow, and they're going to go like, you know what, that's something special. So I think carry on, go. Like, I'm as you said, that it's not easy, but when it's not easy, it means that you are going the right direction. Because if it gets too easy, it doesn't mean anything. You need to go through that challenge journey for sure. So keep going, and I'm so glad. I can't wait in the end to for you to tell me, William, done. Now I'm going to start, I don't know, something new, something different, but I think it's great. It's great. So well done. And before you go, if you can share a positive message or something that you live by.
Yeah, you mentioned requesting one earlier, and the first thing that came to my mind is something a drag queen told me many years ago. She said, the greatest magic we have as humans is the ability to transform our pain into beauty.
Wow. Wow. Says a lot.
I will always remember that for the rest of my life.
Thank you so much. Let me say goodbye to your lovely dog.
Bye. Thanks for dancing with me.
Thank you so much. Okay, Mitch, and keep in touch. It was a pleasure. Okay, thank you.
Yes, likewise. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.